Hey everybody, it's Joe with J Blake Photo. The time has come. Nikon has officially announced their mirrorless line. There's a lot of details to get through, so let's hop right into it. So as expected from my previous video where we went over some of the rumors that we were talking about from the Nikon announcement that was coming, we knew that Nikon was going to be announcing two different cameras. That's what we saw. So we've got the Nikon Z6 and the Nikon Z7. Most of what we saw at the announcement was very similar to what we were expecting, so not a lot of surprises, but just a rundown through the basics. We've got a full-frame mirrorless camera. It's got a rugged design with waterproofing similar to the D850. They said that it would feel a lot like the D850. I don't know what this is going to feel like in the hand, considering it is a much smaller camera. We'll kind of see how people feel about it once they get their hands on it. I've got really big hands, so I don't know if that would be something that I would be comfortable with. They look kind of small. There's going to be a lot of folks out there that are going to be touching and playing with these cameras, and we'll be hearing soon. First, we'll go over the Z6, which is what they call their all-around camera. The Z6 is their high-speed, low-light performance camera with the 24 megapixel sensor. 24 megapixel full-frame sensor. It's got a 12 frame per second buffer for RAW plus JPEG, and it can shoot up to a native resolution of 51,200. A couple things on that first, right off the bat. 24 megapixels is respectable for a full frame camera. The 51,200 with low light performance, that high ISO, it can be expandable up to over 200,000 ISO. We'll kind of see once we get some testing and some individual shots with these, we'll see kind of how well they do. It's actually just about 275 autofocus points, and they do cover almost the entire frame. If you watched my video about the 5 things that I think a new mirrorless system would absolutely need to have, those were some of the things that I was talking about. Good on them for that. They were going to need to have something like that just to compete with Sony. So that's pretty exciting. On the video side of things, both of these cameras shoot in 4K. Specifically, the Z6, our 24 megapixel variant, will shoot at 4K 30 frames a second using the entire sensor, which is just absolutely wonderful. So again, the Z6, the all-around shooter, 12 frames per second, which I think is a little low. I was actually hoping for something over 15 for this particular model. I know with the higher megapixel model, depending on the buffer size that they were putting in there, that would be harder to pull off. 12 is a little on the low side. That is what we're looking at, 12 frames per second, almost 300 autofocus points, 274 to be exact. And it does have face detection. Not the eye detection, which we had kind of hoped for, but face and body detection. It will track a subject as it moves. And it has what it calls hybrid AF, which is a combination of phase detect AF and contrast-based AF. Have to see how well that's going to do in comparison to things like dual pixel AF that you have in the Canon cameras. No flip out screen. It does articulate down, but it's not viewable from outside the camera. This is not going to be a vlogging camera, unfortunately. Not good for vlogging, not great for YouTube, not if you are your own subject and you don't shoot with a crew. All right, so moving on to the Z7, 45 megapixel, same size sensor, still a 35 millimeter full frame equivalent sensor inside this mirrorless body. The body is the same as the Z6, so it's still that rugged body that is equivalent to the D850, or at least that's what Nikon is telling us. Now this model, because of the additional megapixels on that camera, that sensor can only shoot at 9 frames per second. You might say, well, that's kind of a bummer, but remember, I think that this particular model is actually designed more for studio shooting where high frame rates aren't as necessary. It'll shoot up to 1/8,000th of a second, which is understandable for a mechanical shutter, although when it's doing the electronic shutter, I mean, I don't see how you couldn't get that up to 1/16 or 1/32,000ths. That's hard to say. Now that model with the higher megapixel count has almost 500 autofocus points, and it does have the same dual kind of hybrid system as the Z6 model, with the combination of phase detect and contrast-based autofocus systems. Again, we'll have to see how that does in video environments, although this model, the Z7, is not really going to be tailored towards video. The Z6 is more going to be what you're looking for if you're looking for a video shooter. All right, so almost 500 autofocus points, 9 frames per second on the continuous shooting RAW plus JPEG with a max native ISO of 25,600. But again, I think you're going to be in controlled lighting environments when you're using this camera. I really don't think that you're going to be out looking to really push ISO with the 45 megapixel variant. If that's something that you find yourself doing a lot, the 25 megapixel variant is going to be much more your speed. One kind of bummer that I saw is that because of the size of the sensor, it can't pull the entire sensor when shooting 4K 30, so you're going to end up having to drop down to a crop, and it will only pull a part of the sensor, which means you're going to have that zoom in on whatever lens you're going to be using. Okay, so that's where these cameras really kind of differ, is these sensors and kind of what they can do. Let's talk about something that is the same for both cameras, which is the fact that with the 3 lenses, in addition to the 3 lenses that they announced today, the new Z series lenses, as well as a roadmap for lenses down the road, they've actually given us a really good idea of what they're going to be coming out with long term, what they've planned over the next 2 or 3 years, which for someone who's looking to invest in a new camera system, that is great, because then you know what you're getting into and you know that you're not going to get stuck down the road without good lenses to choose from. But here's the great part. If you remember from my 5 things that are going to be very important in a mirrorless system video, I talked a lot about lens compatibility. And one of the things that I think has really been a success story for Sony has been its lens compatibility, in addition to lens releases that it's been doing since then. I think that they've been very successful with that. But here are just 2 things that I think Nikon did exceptionally well. Number 1, they released good lenses to start, and they have an adapter to adapt all of their current model lenses. It will actually allow you to use your vibration compensation in your lens, your IS in the lens, in conjunction with the image stabilization, the in-body image stabilization that's built into this new camera. And the 2 will actually work together on a 5-axis basis. So this, they're calling it the FTZ adapter. This adapter is going to be, I believe, $249 at release, with a $100 discount if you buy it with the lens. If you're already invested in lenses in the Nikon system, if you already have Nikkor lenses, especially high quality lenses, there's no reason not to buy this adapter. And you immediately have, I think they announced almost 100 of their current lenses that are compatible with this adapter, and that you'll get no reduction in image quality. I mean, that is a home run. That is out of the park. They did an amazing job. I want Canon to be watching this closely, because I've got Canon glass that I want to adapt to a Canon mirrorless when it eventually happens, and they need to do it this way. This is the way to do it, honestly. From start to finish, this is the best way to do it. That's the first thing that they did with this release that I thought was phenomenal. The second thing that they did is set the price right. Number 1, with the Z7, the super high megapixel model that's competing against the A9 and the Canon 5D Mark IV. They released this model at $33.99. That is an excellent price for that product. That is perfectly appropriate. I think the value is there for this model. And then for the Z6, their all-around model, they're going to be releasing it at $19.99, which squarely pits it against the A7 R3 and the Canon 6D Mark II, if you would consider those anywhere near the same level. I wouldn't. It sounds like this Nikon camera is actually going to blow my DSLR out of the water. So just an absolutely wonderful release from Nikon. Lots of great news. I think they did everything right. The only thing that I've heard people say that they dislike about this model is that it doesn't come with dual card slots. But other than that, I think this is a phenomenal release. I think they did a great job. I think the marketing was handled exceptionally well. I'm super happy for this, and I don't even shoot Nikon. I'm happy for this because, honestly, it means that other camera manufacturers will have to watch how Nikon is doing things and hopefully follow suit. So anyway, so those are my thoughts on the Nikon release for the Z7 and the Z6 series. Super excited. It has been a very busy week. We got the new Nikon system. We got the new drone from DJI. I'm going to work on that video next. And if you watch politics, it's been a busy week. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Go and hit the like button if you like videos like this. Leave me a comment if you have any thoughts on the Nikon release, or maybe there's something that they missed out that you were expecting in this release, or something that you're looking for from another camera manufacturer. Let me know how you feel. Have they done it? Have they beat Sony? Are they going to be in the market now? I'm really curious to hear what you think about it. Go ahead and leave me something in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.